Good morning. I'd like to thank all of you for coming to this briefing entitled Teen Traffic Safety, an update on effective strategies to prevent highway crashes and save young lives. My name is Donna Mosh, and I'm a senior fellow at Apt Associates, a research firm that's based in Cambridge, Massachusetts. I'm fortunate to serve as the chair of the board of directors of SADD, which is Students Against Destructive Decisions. Many of you have heard of SADD or were involved in a SADD chapter during your high school years. Founded in 1981 in Massachusetts as Students Against Driving Drunk, SADD's mission and focus has broadened over the past 30 years, and we now encompass a range of destructive decisions that teens face every day. Today, there are SADD chapters in 10,000 middle and high schools across the country, working to engage and empower teens to play an active role in their own health, safety, and success. I'm confident that multiple speakers this morning will tell you that car crashes are the #1 killer of teens in this country. It's a startling fact, and it can't be repeated too often. As we stand here today, I'm reminded that every day in 2010, the last year for which the CDC was reporting these statistics, 7 teens ages 16 to 19 died in car crashes, every single day. The severity of this tragedy caused SADD to deepen our advocacy efforts, and particularly those aimed at making teen traffic safety a national priority. Knowing that teens themselves are powerful and effective advocates, we decided that teens would play an active role in this effort. And the result of that is SADD Speaks. SPEAKs stands for Students for Policy, Education, Advocacy, and Knowledge. The 21 young people from across the country who are involved in this program this year are in the room, and you'll get a chance to meet them, all of them, in a moment. I have had the pleasure of meeting them on a couple of occasions now, and I'm so impressed with their knowledge, their enthusiasm, and their passion for this issue. Now I'd like to sincerely thank our sponsors, and that's what's made SADD Speaks a reality. Michelle Lieber is here today from Ally Financial. Angela Patterson is here from Bridgestone. Amy Roberti is with us today from Liberty Mutual Insurance, and Michelle Anderson, representing the National Road Safety Foundation. Without these sponsors, we could not have implemented this program, and this briefing would not be happening. So please join me in thanking these sponsors for their thoughtful leadership on this important issue and their corporate citizenship. In my professional and volunteer work, I've learned to rely on diverse knowledge, expertise, and perspectives in trying to devise effective solutions to problems. Solving those problems, and particularly this problem of teen traffic fatalities, takes all of our perspectives, all of our knowledge, and all of our expertise. Leaders from Congress, like Congressman Capuano, from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, industry and advocacy organizations, all of us joining together can make a difference. And among us, there's one critical group that I want to note again. If I might leave you with one thought, it's that young people, empowered to help one another, are the most effective advocates we have in the campaign to protect healthy development and preserve promising lives. Again, I want to thank you for coming this morning. And I'd now like to turn this over to Lucas Benjamin, one of my fellow Massachusetts residents and a SADD Speaks student. He's going to introduce Congressman Michael Capuano, who's standing here to my left, as you all recognize. We're so grateful for Congressman Capuano's leadership in supporting the first inclusion of teen traffic safety in the Moving Ahead for Progress in the 21st Century highway traffic safety legislation. I'd also like to thank him for his particular recognition of the power of peer programs in prevention of traffic fatalities. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Donna. My name is Lucas Benjamin, and I'm from the great Commonwealth of Massachusetts. When SADD began to engage in the public policy process, we first looked to Boston, Massachusetts, meeting with Congressman Michael Capuano. He's been our ally since day one, never refusing any of our requests. His transportation staff person, Stephen Carlson, has been a tremendous asset for us over the past few years and has also done all the behind-the-scenes work to make sure that we could use this room today. Congressman, thank you so much for supporting SADD and being a true champion on the Transportation Committee in support of our hard work and all the issues related to teen traffic safety. Would you all please join me in welcoming Congressman Capuano?
Not bad for a Yankee fan. I don't know much about a lot of things. I do know a few things. And one thing I know is that when I was your age, the last person in the world I would ever listen to about anything is someone like me, a middle-aged guy in a suit. It was just another talking head and, always telling me what I was doing wrong, always telling me how I could do better. And, everybody who's your age pretty much just shuts that off. And for those of you who don't, good for you. Most of us shut it off. And most of us were the kids in the back of the room trying to read the sports pages while people like me were talking. And I don't blame you. For those of you, I'm supportive for two reasons. Number one is because for those of you who are active and involved in anything, especially an important issue like this, I think you deserve my support. And I look back on my own life, we all do. Everybody looks through things from their own prism. And I didn't do these kinds of things. I wasted a lot of my youth, if you want the truth, and I'm not proud of that. And I regret it. And the fact that you are trying to move the ball forward on supporting issues is incredibly admirable and deserves my support and my admiration. As far as these issue goes, I know fully well that none of the kids your age are going to listen to me. They're going to listen to you. Maybe. They may not listen to you either. And I actually particularly like the fact that the group has kind of moved a little bit from just one item to now a broader focus. I'll tell you why. I had my license for a week when I crashed my parents' 1966 Mustang into the back of somebody else's car because I was cool. I had a Mustang. And I was cool. I was going to play basketball, and I was leaning out the window, waving to my friends to show them how cool I was. And, of course, that was a really stupid decision, and I really wish I had that 1966 Mustang back now, I'll tell you that. Little injury, nothing, no major injuries, but there are a lot of ways that young people make stupid decisions. Some of it is alcohol-driven, but even then, a lot of that is peer pressure. You know that better than I do, because, you're not cool unless you do this kind of thing. You're not cool if you do that kind of thing. And again, the last people in the world are going to listen to us adults, because what the hell do we know about being cool? I'm cool from the 1960s. I was really cool back then. Not anymore. And so for me, I just really wanted to come down and say thank you. Thank you for being involved. Thank you for being involved in an important issue. And thank you for advocating for the safety of your generation and the next generation. Because let's be real clear. The statistics you just heard, I don't know, but I hope they're lower than they used to be. And in my generation, everybody knew somebody who died in an auto accident. I have they're young men now, two children. Both of them know people who've died in car accidents. And I don't know that it'll ever be eliminated. I presume it won't. But I do know one thing. It can and should be reduced. Because it's not just a tragedy. But for those of you who have been through it, you know this better than I do. For those of you who haven't, it's not just a tragedy for the people who get injured or who die, or for just their family. If they're young people, it's a tragedy for everybody in the school, everybody in the neighborhood, because for the first time in their lives, generally they realize, boom, one day somebody's there, the next day they're gone. And it's somebody who could have been any one of us. Oftentimes, these accidents and these issues are caused by something, it could be any one of us, and you know that. So again, for me, I just wanted to come down to say thank you for your advocacy, thank you for your involvement, and thank you for working so hard on what I consider to be an important issue.
Hello, my name is Amanda Raphael, and I'm going to be a senior next year at Monarch High School in Coconut Creek, Florida. I am one of 22 high school students who are in Washington, D.C. this week to participate in SADD Speaks. SPEAK stands for Students for Policy, Education, Advocacy, and Knowledge. My fellow SPEAKs participants are in the room this morning, and all of our names, schools, and hometowns are included in your packet of information. Earlier this spring, each student applied to be part of this program, and we have spent the past few months engaged in serious online training, learning the basics about Congress and the role of federal and state government in establishing traffic safety laws. We arrived in Washington on Monday and have received more detailed advocacy training. We have met with numerous government officials and safety advocates who have helped explain the public policy process and also shared their secrets for effective advocacy. When we return home, we will use our knowledge to educate other teens. We are also making action plans to take specific steps at state level to improve teen traffic safety. Students such as the ones in the room have a powerful role to play in educating their peers about the facts related to teen driving and convincing their fellow students to wear a seatbelt, don't speed, don't drink and drive, and don't drive distracted. Our goal for this briefing are to highlight the risks faced by teen drivers, identify strategies that have been shown to improve teen safety, and above all, stress the fact that there are hundreds of thousands of teens across the country that want to be part of the solution. Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda, for that wonderful overview. My name is Melanie Groves. I'm from Jackson, Mississippi, and I'll be a senior at Merritt High School. And now I'll be introducing Dr. Adrian K. Lund. Dr. Lund is the president of the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety and the Highway Loss Data Institute. Trained initially as a psychologist, Dr. Lund has been involved in health-related research since 1974. Dr. Lund is the author of numerous scientific papers on such topics as young drivers, alcohol and drug use among drivers, occupant restraints, and the effect of vehicle design on driver behavior and crash worthiness. He received a bachelor's degree from North Carolina State University and a doctorate from the State University of New York at Buffalo. Will you all please join me in welcoming Dr. Adrian K. Lund.
Thank you very much, Melanie. And I want to thank you not only for that introduction, but also SADD for doing what you do to help students make better decisions in traffic safety and for letting us be a part of that effort today. I'm going to try to set the stage by just going through some of the statistics in a little more detail than we've seen so far, just to set the stage for our other speakers who follow with solutions, David. You heard about the high risk. In 2011, we had more than 3,000 teens die in motor vehicle crashes. The fatal crash rate per mile driven for teens ages 16 through 19 is nearly 3 times the rate for drivers 20 years or older. And in 2010, motor vehicle crashes were the leading cause of death among teens aged 13 to 19. These are the basic facts that we're all trying to deal with here. This slide illustrates, if you will, the risk that we're talking about. You see that for particularly 16 and 17-year-olds, the crash risk per million miles driven is very high, as much as 35 crashes per million miles for the young males 16 years old. Compare that to 35-year-old males, which is about 5 per million miles. This is a huge increased risk. You also see that risk comes down quickly. There's a learning curve here, and there's learning to deal with the driving environment. I also want to point out that sometimes this is identified as a young male problem. You'll see in this graph that these crashes are occurring for teen males and also for teen women. Now, I don't want to say that we haven't made progress. We have. The congressman said he wanted to hear that, hopefully, that we'd made some progress. One of the places where we've made progress is in the area of alcohol-impaired driving, partly through partnerships with SADD, with MADD, with the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. We've been able to bring down the incidence of alcohol use in teen fatal crashes. Big part of that issue was raising the alcohol purchase age to 21. Nevertheless, alcohol remains one of the problems. You can see that for 16-year-olds, even though they're just beginning to drive, still we have over 10% of 16-year-olds who have .08 BACs or higher. Particularly interesting is that as you go to 19-year-olds, you see very high rates, almost the same as adult rates of alcohol impaired driving, 35% for male drivers. So we still have an issue with alcohol to be addressed. Again, back to what have we done right. We've figured out some things to do to improve the risk for teen drivers. One of the big things that's happened is we've had an increase in the number of states with special laws for teen drivers that help ease them into the driving situation. We've called those graduated driver licensing. The kinds of things that are involved in that, raising the driving age, the permit age, night driving restrictions, things like that. Back in 1995, very few states had any of those provisions. And you can see by 2013, most states had various versions of those provisions. What has that meant? Well, it's meant that crashes have come down for teens. Now, over this period, we've had a big increase in the safety of motor vehicle travel for everyone. If you look at people aged 30 to 59, you see that there's been a 36% reduction in the risk of dying in a motor vehicle crash per person population. 36%. What about teens? During this period when we've been introducing these graduated driving license requirements, we've seen teen crash rates come down much more than the 36%. And for 16-year-olds, those teens who are at greatest risk, we've seen the biggest reduction, a 72% reduction in crash risk or fatal crash risk for those teens. So we've had some success. Still have some problems. One of the issues we can do, and you can advocate for this in your state, support the people who want to do this. Every state, despite having adopted graduated licensing requirements, can improve. New Jersey, we often hold up as the model state for the kinds of provisions they have for teens to learn. But even New Jersey can improve their teen licensing requirements in a way that would reduce crashes. We did a study, I'm not going to go through these in detail, but it looked at the various elements of graduated driver licensing programs and estimated what the effect of each one of those elements was. And you can see things like delaying by 1 year the permit age was about a 12 to 13% reduction in the fatal crash involvement of teens. So these are important provisions. And as I said, every state can make improvements. We created a graduated licensing calculator that you can access online. You can look up your state. This shows the state of Virginia. It shows what their current requirements are, but the important thing is it shows that if the state of Virginia were to adopt the most rigorous requirements of any of the states out there, we could see a 15% reduction in collision claims reported to the insurers, could keep insurance costs down for teens a little bit. We could see a 37% reduction in Virginia for fatal crashes. These are big effects. So we've got some room to improve there, something to work on. Now, one of the things that's pretty important that comes up is what cars do teens choose to drive? We're often asked, what should they choose to drive? You can be like the congressman, pick a Mustang. I think he talked about some of the problems with that. When I'm asked what teens should drive, it's best if it's big, slow, and ugly, not Not anything like what you want to have, right? Okay? But bigger is always safer if you get in a crash. You want to avoid vehicles that encourage speeding, and you want to avoid vehicles that encourage flaunting or showing off. Remember the congressman talking about driving into the rear of another car while he's waving? The other thing I want to emphasize, many times teens get the least expensive vehicles. This is understandable from a economic standpoint, but you want, teens are at higher crash risk. We've seen that. What we want you to be driving are crash-worthy designs. We want you to have side airbags, whatever else, and we want you to have electronic stability control to help you keep control of your car. So, just to reiterate, what you probably want to drive, like the congressman, and the four-door sedan that you should be looking at, or the minivan, something like that, that would be less encouraging of risky driving. There is a lot of new technology coming too that we can look at. Some parents are looking at in-vehicle monitoring devices to help teens learn to drive. We've looked at some of those devices, and we've seen that if they're in the cars, they can reduce risky driving behavior, but only if parents are paying attention. We also saw that oftentimes parents couldn't get their teens to sign up because the teens didn't want this in their vehicle. You need to try to help your fellow teens understand that this can protect them from harm in a motor vehicle crash. And I'm going to close just by saying there's also another whole variety of technology out there coming, crash avoidance technology, which can help not just teens but older drivers too, to deal with the fact that we're all distracted at times by a myriad of things. And we've got lane departure warnings, we've got forward collision warning systems. We're going to have blind spot detection. Soon we're talking about vehicle-to-vehicle communication. We're hopeful that these new technologies can help not just you folks start driving, but also some of us older folks who have a little trouble with distraction ourselves to stay out of trouble in motor vehicle crashes. Anyway, that's our perspective on the data, where we've been and where we've come with teen driving. I, again, thank you for continuing to try to organize your peers to recognize and to prevent a large part of this problem. Thank you again.
Thank you, Dr. Lund. Good morning. My name is Agustin Arriola. Mr. David Strickland is the 14th Administrator of the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, commonly referred to as NHTSA, and it is my honor this morning to introduce him to you. As the country's top automotive safety official, Mr. Strickland is committed to supporting NHTSA's long-standing mission of reducing crash-related injuries and fatalities while ensuring the highest standards of safety on the nation's roadways. Prior to his appointment to NHTSA, Mr. Strickland served for 8 years on the U.S. Senate Committee of Commerce, Science, and Transportation. Originally hailing from Atlanta, Georgia, he earned his Juris Doctor degree from Harvard Law School and his Bachelor's of Science degree in Communication Studies and Political Science from the Northwestern University. I know he has a million other things he could be doing right now. So on behalf of the 10,000 SADD chapters, Mr. Strickland, please accept my sincere appreciation for your willingness to be here and making us a priority. Thank you so much. And join me in welcoming Mr. David Strickland, the Administrator of NHTSA.
Augustine, thank you so much for that kind introduction. I don't have a million other things I could be doing, and even if I did, there's nothing more important than being here in this room of our future leaders. First, good morning. All right, and we're going to work on this because, Dr. Mosh started this and a couple other folks. This is not sad. The teens that I know. We're going to try this again. Good morning.
Good morning.
That's better. Get a little energy in the room. It's important because y'all have a lot of conventions of a lot of folks around this building here. And the 22 folks that are part of SADD Speaks, welcome to Washington, those that aren't local. And more importantly, I wish you the best of luck in what is a very enterprising, difficult, but frankly needed step. Being able to speak from a teen perspective to the nation's leaders on how we can improve traffic safety outcomes, not frankly just for teens, clearly your cohort that you're representing, but frankly everybody. And I've had a few years of my career in the Congress. If anybody wants a couple of other tips, I'm sure y'all have probably gotten schooled to death. Come and talk to me. I'll give you a few little inside tips too. But really, thank you so much for doing this and being here today. And Penny, thank you so much for the kind invitation to have me here today. And Dr. Masha, it was great finally meeting you. And thank you so much for your support and your hard work in leading SADD from the board of directors level. And Adrian and I are often together in a lot of speeches around the country because we both have the same passion for the same thing, how we can sort of change the tide of human misery across the country. And, while we have been doing fairly well over the past few years in terms of the numbers going down, it's still we lose way too many people. The overall number in 2012 was 34,000 people, a slight uptick from 2011. Sometimes not very happy to see the little upticks like that, but it's sort of part of the work that we do as we've got now still around the lowest number recorded since 1949, which shows that we are making progress. But as Adrian alluded to in his sort of walkthrough, we have a lot more work to do. We really do. Now, with the work that we have taken on at NHTSA under the leadership of Secretary Fox, he is now in week 4 of being Secretary of Transportation, and he is very much fixated on the notion of traffic safety, and specifically teen safety. He has 2 school-age children of his own, and not too far in the future, he's going to have 2 teen drivers himself. So he is very interested in making sure that the agency really focuses our programmatic work on how we can support you and making sure that teens don't make destructive decisions and how we can improve the outcomes for all involved. Now, involving and engaging teens in the process and helping them understand individual mobility is very important. We're talking about, the problems and the grave numbers and everything else, but let's think about this one sort of notion for a second, which frankly what SADD really truly embraces. Some restraint, personal restraint or otherwise, increases freedom. Some restraint increases freedom. Everybody wants that opportunity to get the keys for the first time, to go to the movie on your own, be able to have that first date on your own, or all the things that you want to do. All right, I'm going to give you the compare and contrast from Congressman Capuano and I. And the Congressman and I have had a number of conversations. Thank you for pulling that out of him about his 1966 Mustang. The first car that I drove, I didn't have my own car, I drove my parents' car. I was pimping around in a 1984 Toyota Camry. Did not help my game at all. But was I happy to have the opportunity to get behind the wheel of that car and have that freedom that comes with driving? Of course. I took out more garbage, cut more lawns, mopped more floors. I was the perfect son for that window, with the threat being, if I wasn't, I'd lose the keys. That's a powerful influence. And in addition to trying to convey to other teens about how some restraint increases freedom, being able to talk from policy standpoint of what we could do at the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration as a federal agency, talking about from the congressional level what new improvements can be made to the current laws that we have on the books to be able to help move these numbers in the right direction is a very important thing. And I'll tell you how important the work of SADD is. We've had a number of student interns over the years help us over the summer at NHTSA. And Carrie Sandstrom is our most recent summer intern. And Carrie, I think, oh, there she is, she's back there. I just want to say thank you for spending your time at NHTSA and doing such a fantastic job for us. You really do exemplify, frankly, all that we expect out of the student leaders at SADD, which is being able to take data, show hard work, show passion, and generate this into positive change. And so, again, thank you so much. My team really appreciated all the hard work. And when you're ready to enter the job market, come talk to us. I think you have a welcome spot over with us at NITS, all right? Okay. Now, as Adrian discussed, traffic crash is the leading cause of death for teens, and that's been that way for a very, very long time. And we've been working for a number of years on how we sort of get those issues run to ground. And Adrian talked about a few of the major policy issues. I just want to sort of elucidate one number that Adrian mentioned, which was that 10% of 16-year-olds had a blood alcohol content level of 0.08 or higher, which is illegal. Now, for teens, as well, you know, you're not 21 yet, any alcohol presence in your system is illegal. And the scary number that we have is that in 70% of teen crashes that involved a fatality, there was alcohol presence, 0.01 or more. That means that you might not have been legally drunk in terms of to the adult level, but teens were drinking and they shouldn't be. And we have to work very hard to make sure that teens make the right decision. Shouldn't be drinking in the first place. It's against the law. Second, if you happen to make one mistake, don't compound it by then getting behind the wheel and driving. It's especially important. Another key aspect to that amount is that teens that actually had the presence of alcohol had an incredibly high incidence of not wearing your seatbelt. Very high. I think 70% if I'm not mistaken. In addition to that, even those teens without the presence of alcohol that got into a fatal crash, 49% of them weren't wearing their seatbelt, half. That mirrors the rest of the, frankly, of the entire transportation portfolio of fatal crashes, which is about half the people that die in car crashes in America are not wearing their seatbelt, passengers and drivers. So getting teens, adults, seniors to buckle up is an incredibly important message for all of us to convey. And one of the ways that we're working on doing that is things like graduated driver's licensing laws. As Adrian said, they're incredibly effective because what we want to do is teach you how to be a good beginning driver, to build the skills to be a better driver so that you will be a great driver for the rest of your life. Again, some restraint increases freedom. And these laws are so important. We actually have an incentive program for the first time to encourage states to pass good, strong graduated driver's license laws like in New Jersey. And hopefully states will take the incentive and improve their laws so that we get these right outcomes. But for us is really listening and leaning upon your leadership, your knowledge, and your voice. Capuano said it best, dudes like us, administration officials in suits talking to crowds, don't move people, don't move teens. You guys do. So we're here to help you help us. Got that from a movie somewhere, I think. But it really is that important, how we can sort of really strengthen that nexus. Now, in addition to the work that we're currently doing on graduated driver's licensing, trying to continue the fight against alcohol usage and continue to fight to get people to wear their belts, we are working very hard programmatically later this year. At NITS, we feel so strongly about teen driving safety that we are going to be launching a teen driving safety campaign this fall to coincide with Teen Driver Safety Week in October. It's something that the Secretary and I are going to be very, very excited to participate in and kick off and partner with you. And we're going to be reaching out to parents as well as teens. And I think Adrian made a very good point. Parents are just as much a part of the teaching loop as you guys are in learning. It has to be an active relationship. I will have to say that my parents are probably not the world's best at this one particular thing. Luckily, you had a future administrator as a teenage son, and I did things generally the right way. But my parents are just so ecstatically happy not to have to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning to take me to practice. They kind of just threw me the keys. They were like, go out there and get them, kid, which isn't the right approach for parents and teens. It has to be an active engagement. It has to be relationship-based. It has to be building on your skills together. And we found in our research, and when you have that relationship with your parents or with your caregivers or with that aunt or uncle that's teaching you how to drive or whoever it is that is the experienced driver, you get better outcomes too. So it isn't just simply about talking to you guys, it's about talking to the parents and the adults as well. So again, thank you so much, SADD and SADD Speak specifically. Have a great week in Washington. You guys truly are the future leaders for safety, and we're so happy to have you as partners. And once again, if you needed a couple little insight and hints on how to talk to people, just come by and see me. Congratulations. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Administrator Strickland. My name is Mackenzie Martin from Jackson County, Tennessee. It is my honor this morning to introduce Mia Vickers, the Deputy Director of the Governor's Highway Safety Department in the great state of Tennessee. Mia was appointed in 2005 and directs multiple youth awareness programs and initiatives, such as the annual Lead and Live conference, which I have had the honor of going to multiple times, the statewide SADD network, Tennessee Teen Safe Driving Coalition, and various teen law enforcement engagement efforts. Mia grew up in Memphis, Tennessee, and has her Bachelor of Arts degree in criminology from Memphis State University. Mia came here just for this event, and we are extremely grateful that she is here this morning. She is a true friend of SADD and a true believer in teen engagement. I wish every state was lucky enough to have a Mia Vickers. Thank you, and help me welcome Mia Vickers.
Good morning. Thank you, Mackenzie, for a wonderful introduction. I told everybody I've got to put her on the payroll. She's just done a great job. And let me start off by saying, like, Administrator Strickland and Dr. Lund do such a great job of not looking at their notes, but I have to stay focused or I'll talk all day. So I've got to kind of look at my notes a little bit. But first, I want to thank SADD for inviting me here to speak to you all today. I'm very honored that they chose Tennessee as a state to come and speak and give a state's perspective on teen driver safety. And also to all of you in the room, I appreciate your presence here today. I'm honored by all of you. So first, I want to start off. I'm not a great person with stats and everything. Like a lot of people, I do more talking than using the stats. My director is awesome at keeping up with the stats right off the cuff and everything. He's wonderful. So I leave that to him. I do all the talking. So I do want to start off, though, first of all, with one chart to show that in Tennessee, we do have a decreasing trend of teen driver traffic crashes that have gone down tremendously since 2007. To 2011, you can see the decrease is very dramatic in those numbers, and we're hoping to continue this decrease with the work that we're doing in Tennessee. And first of all, most of you may know, Tennessee is considered the volunteer state. And so we consider there that leadership and service to others is a key value. And we try to reflect this in our teen-led prevention programs. In the past, we've done a great job in our Highway Safety Office of getting out to teens, getting our messages out through traditional measures such as parental involvement and getting programs into schools. We've been very lucky to have schools and different boards across the state that allow us to come into their high schools and middle schools to share our messaging. One of the first things that we did when I realized that we did not have a statewide SADD coordinator in Tennessee, and I don't know if we had one years and years ago, but as I've been in the office for about 10 years, and we didn't have a statewide SADD coordinator. And I'm lucky to have our first SADD coordinator in the back of the room, Cynthia George, who is currently working on her PhD at VCU. But I still go to her from time to time, and she's a former SADD student herself, so that was even better. But we've established a number of chapters across the state, and we've tried to use SADD as the primary structure for coordination and sustaining youth activities within our state. We've tried to make sure that we've had someone to be a liaison between national SADD as well as the chapters in the state, because they really didn't have any leadership there until we got our SADD coordinator. Some of the programs I wanted to talk about that we're doing in Tennessee, the first being the Think Fast game show. And this is one of our most popular activities that we do in the high school. We get requests all the time. I literally just got a letter from a principal the other day wanting to bring it back to their school. And the Think Fast game show is an interactive awareness game show that uses an MTV-style production set to connect teens with critical and relevant safety information in a fun and engaging way. They actually have, like you see, the Jeopardy-type podiums. There's loud music. We actually offer the content that we want. You can use it for your state. And Tennessee was the first state to use this for teen driver safety, but now Alaska, Rhode Island, West Virginia, and there's another state I'm forgetting that actually are using the Think Fast program as well. But it's a great game show. The kids that don't come to it, if they hear it going on in the school, they're begging, can we please have it next year? So it's an awesome way to pass the message along. The kids actually are learning and they don't realize it because they're having so much fun. But when they leave, and we do surveys in there to find out their knowledge gained, and we actually do evaluation to find out if their knowledge has increased, and it definitely has after they attend this game show. The next thing is called our Click It and Ticket. And a lot of people, we have T-shirts, have asked me, did the printer do our T-shirts wrong because they see the Click It and Ticket versus Click It or Ticket. And I'm like, no, we meant to say Click It and Ticket. And this is basically a model service learning project that flips the switch on Click It or Ticket. And rather than seeking to punish teens for not wearing their seatbelts, we actually recognize them for their good behavior when they're wearing their seatbelts. And we actually turn this over completely to the students. We just offer them everything they need to put this program on. They actually do pre and post surveys, or observations rather, to see how many kids are actually wearing seatbelts when they arrive to school. And then they actually have a day that they pass out tickets, which kids receive tickets for actually wearing their seatbelts, and they're eligible to win debit cards because they had their seatbelts on. And we give them dum-dums if they didn't have on seatbelts, and we give them Smarties if they actually did have them on. But we actually stand back and allow the students to do the whole program. We even choose a student to be a public information officer, so when the media comes, which most of the time media comes, we'll allow them to say what they're doing there and explain what the program is all about. So that's been pretty effective. And this program has been funded by State Farm Insurance as long as we've been doing that. The next thing is our Lead and Live Youth Conference, in which Mackenzie mentioned that she's attended a number of times. And this is an annual statewide youth leadership training conference where teen leaders and the adults that support them create a written strategic plan to enact back home in their communities. During this conference, teens build their knowledge, skills, and networks to help ensure that they can successfully implement these projects once they're back home. And that's been an awesome experience. My son was able to be fortunate enough to attend for the first time. He just turned 15 on Sunday, so that's a whole nother issue, dealing with about ready to get a permit. And I actually had to fuss with him last night before I left because he plays football, and they're in two-a-days now. And so he wants to go home with one of the boys who lives near the school. And Monday he went, and I said, who picked you up? You know, who actually took you? Did his parents pick you up? And he said, no, it was this other guy's sister. And I said, okay, is she an adult? Because you cannot ride with teenagers. And he's like, well, Mom, I'll have to stay at school. I'm like, but I don't care. You know, you've got to be with somebody that's responsible driving. I don't care. Your life is more important. And I told him he should have learned that it should be more important to him. But, you know, he doesn't want to be the only one there. So I told him to talk to his dad about it. So. The next thing I wanted to talk about is our Ollie the Otter seatbelt program. And this is an amazing program that actually goes into elementary schools and middle schools. And it is a booster seat education program. And they've gone to, I think it's like 1 million children that they've been able to touch over the years they've been doing this program. They actually talk to kids versus the parents, like you do usually go to the parents about safety. We go to the kids with this program, and we teach them how important it is to actually be in a booster seat or wear a seatbelt. And this program has been amazing because now the kids will actually be in the car with their parents or grandparents, and they'll tell them, put your seatbelt on. You know, we're not going anywhere unless you have your seatbelt on. So this is really educating them on seatbelt safety. Let's see. The next thing I wanted to talk about was the Tennessee Teen Safe Driving Coalition that Mackenzie also mentioned. And this is was funded by NHTSA, not NHTSA, I'm sorry. NHTSA's funded most of our things, but this is the National Safety Council and Allstate Insurance. And it's teen and law enforcement communication and engagement around our GDL program has been the main thing. We actually have had focus groups that have helped us come up with a logo for our teen driver safety programs. And as well as McKinsey has been a part of this, where they actually have gone out to speak to their peers about the graduated driver's licensing requirements and just to help teenagers understand what these laws and requirements are all about, to put it on a teen level where it's not like Dr. Lund said earlier, it's an adult giving you all this information. It's actually one of your peers sharing this information. One of the other things I wanted to mention is that we also do printed materials that we take out to all the DMVs in our state. Every DMV has our brochures for GDL in the location so that parents and teens have wallet-sized cards that they can keep so that they know what all the requirements are, et cetera, for all 4 levels, so that they know this at all times. They can pull it out of their wallet to see what their restrictions are as far as curfews, et cetera, or how many kids are supposed to be in the car, as well as the brochures that we offer. We also provide in this stand, and I heard them say that Angela Patterson was here with Bridgestone. I haven't seen Angela, but Bridgestone Tires, as well as the Tennessee Trucking Foundation, they're very great partners with us. We also allow them to put their information out for teen driver safety in those stands as well. We know that it's really hard for most of us to get our messaging out to our teens as well as our parents. And so what we've done is taken another step and tried to expand outside of the general measures that most people use. And we've partnered with a lot of corporations and organizations within the state. Some of those partners are Nissan, State Farm, and all state insurance companies, Bridgestone Tires, the National Safety Council, Century Council, et cetera. And they've given us funding. We've been able to leverage funding to do more of these programs. Nissan awarded us last year, and now just found out this year, they're giving us almost $200,000 to do 75 Think Fast game shows across the state. So that has been awesome that we can get into more of these schools to spread these messages around. Also, one of the last things I wanted to talk about, one of our clubs that actually attended our youth conference won an award from our office for the work that they're doing in their community, but they've also won the Act Out Loud Award this year, where their school received $10,000. And they're doing great things. They've hosted rallies, teen driver safety rallies, and actually their county went down 300 traffic crashes for teens in a year after this program was initiated. And so they're doing wonderful things, so I wanted to spotlight them and talk about the great things that they're doing. And they also caught the attention of Tim McGraw, if any of you are country music lovers, and he actually invited them to the premiere of his video, which is Highway, I wrote it down. Highway Don't Care. Highway Don't Care, thank you. When he premiered the video, he invited that club, the Test Club, out to join them. And I was trying to see the name of it. Traffic Education Saves Teens is what TEST stands for. So that's one of the examples of what we're doing in Tennessee, one of the benefits, and teens that are actually engaged and involved. And we try to do as much as we can to make sure that the teens are actually being involved in everything that we do. And finally, I just wanted to say that we're also trying to come up with data and evaluation to make sure that we're keeping up with how these programs are working and how effective they are. We want to be one of the first states to actually produce data on teen driver safety, because that's not being done currently. The CDC is doing things on violence and things like that, but right now nothing on teen driver safety. So we're hoping to soon publish data, and I've been helping work with that. I actually had to sit through a long class online to be able to help write this data along with Cynthia, who we're going to hopefully put that out for everybody to be able to use. So I appreciate, again, you all giving me the opportunity to come here and speak on some of the things. Like I said, I'm rushing this because I could talk like 2 more hours, but I know I got to hurry this up. So again, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Wonderful students here. I'm so impressed with you guys, and I'm just loving the things that you're doing. Keep the passion going, and I'll do whatever I can to help you out. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mia. I got a lot of great ideas from that, and I hope y'all did too. My name is Natalie Connors, and I'm from Westchester, Pennsylvania. I go to Bayard Rustin High School, and I'm a senior there. Well, I will be this year. Okay. I'd like to share with you the teens' perspective on the issue. We've had a lot of adults speak, and I thought I'd tell you what I'm really here for. As the safety advocates in the room know, there are 3 main E's of highway safety: education, engineering, and enforcement. When it comes to the safety of teen drivers, I humbly suggest that it is essential to add at least 2 more E's: engagement and empowerment.
This simply means that state and federal safety officials should work with teens and empower us to play an active role in promoting our safety. I know from experience that teen leaders can be a very powerful force in shaping the behavior of our fellow students. I enjoyed hearing this morning the different strategies involved in making the road safer for teens. I'm aware that it will take many different ideas to accomplish this goal. Stronger laws, tougher law enforcement, parental engagement, and improved technology are important and essential. But it's also essential to engage and empower teens by recognizing the value of teens who speak out to help their peers make safer choices. We know that teens will listen better to their peers than to adults with the same message. I'm glad the adults have realized that also. It's going to take all of us working together to make a difference, but I know it can happen. And I'm going to give you an example of how I saw that in my school. I just decided to ad-lib this, so I'm going off script a little bit here, everyone. I think it's really easy for people to focus on the negative statistics about teens. So I thought that my SADD chapter should take a different point of view for this and focus on the positive statistics. So every 2 years, Pennsylvania does a survey about the decisions teens make with bullying and drinking and everything. And we got our survey data back, and in my district, 7 out of 10 teens don't drink, and that's pretty cool. So we decided to create a social norms campaign about this, and we called it Stay Classy, Stay Sober. And we made these t-shirts. We got a grant, and we made 2,000 t-shirts. Well, somebody made them for us. But they say Stay Classy, Stay Sober on the front, and on the back, they say 7 out of 10 teens stay classy. So 2,000 of these t-shirts were distributed to our 3 area high schools, and it went viral. They were all over Facebook, they were all over Twitter, they were all over Instagram. Like, you would scroll through your feed and all you see is Stay Classy. It was so cool. And everyone would wear them to school. So we won a lot of awards for this, and it's been a huge hit. And now, because of that, we've gotten a $50,000 grant to produce more t-shirts and take this statewide. And hopefully, after this year, we'll be taking it nationwide. So if I send these t-shirts to your office, I hope you all will wear them. So my goal, and I really think you can see this in the statistics that I'm hoping will come back, is that teen drinking and driving and teen drinking will go from 7 out of 10 to 10 out of 10. And I know we can make that happen because it's really the peers that affect the change. And I think a lot of people think that teens drink and drive, and a lot of teens think that. But showing the statistic that 7 out of 10 don't really empowers teens that you are not alone. Like, it's cool not to drink. It really is. And you got a cool t-shirt to prove it. So I really just wanted to share with you the power of SADD and the power of peer-to-peer and how really cool teens are and how teen-to-teen mentorship is really awesome. So thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate it. I look forward to meeting all of you individually, I hope, and all of you wearing my t-shirts. All right, thank you.
Good morning. My name is Cash Matlock, and I'm a senior at Clarkdale High School in Meridian, Mississippi. And in closing today, I just want to give you a quick look ahead. So the Moving Ahead for Progress in the 21st Century Act, known as MAP 21, was signed into law on July 6, 2012. And thanks to our champions in Congress, such as Senator Amy Klobuchar and Congressman Michael Capuano, the law added teen traffic safety to the list of national priorities under the existing Section 402 State and Community Highway Formula Grants. Every state receives funding through this $235 million program. Recognizing that car crashes are the #1 killer of teens, we will be working over the next year to encourage states to make teen traffic safety a priority and support peer-to-peer education and prevention programs and other strategies outlined in the text of the law. The highway bill included some great examples of what states can do to empower and engage teens in this process. The list is included in your packet and includes things like working with student groups to implement traffic safety programs, providing sub-grants to schools to engage and empower more teens like the ones in the room today, and establishing a state advisory council of teen drivers to work with the Governor's Safety Office on issues related to teen safety. To put it simply, our goal is to make teens a priority in every state highway safety plan. If a state gets $5 million through the Section 402 formula grant, we want to know just how much is dedicated to the safety of teen drivers and what the plan is for improving teen safety. Honestly, I don't think this is too much to ask. Our work is just beginning. The Speaks teens in this room and our peers across the country are up to the challenge, and we look forward to working with you to save young lives. The SADD National Conference is in DC next summer, and we will be back with several hundred of our closest friends. We look forward to updating you on our progress. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. My name is Penny Wells. I'm the CEO of SADD. Thank you very much, Dr. Lund, Administrator Strickland, Mia Vickers, for coming and sharing their perspectives. Thanks to the young people for talking to you about what they are passionate about. They are out there. The teens are out there. Empower them. Engage them. They want to be used. Give them support. And they will help solve the problem.